Hey, that's an icy rock flying through the sky. I think it's a comet. 40% chance it's a god heading right for us. Dr. Eva Bowl, 40%. Where'd you get that number? From Maya's University. How do you spell that? Myass. Well, it looks like it passed us and it's heading right towards Jupiter. Of course it is. Biggest planet in the sky. New god visit that first. Oh, and now it's a 20% chance it's a god. Hey, aren't you the guy that said Oumuamua was a god coming for us? Fun fact, I gave 2 different talks at this very address in the last 18 months or so, and have helped with a star party on the roof just 6 weeks ago. God of the gaps, or divine fallacy, is a logical fallacy that has existed for millennia. This is when believers can't explain something, they say that God or a God did it. And as our understanding of the universe through science has increased over the last few millennia, the amount of gaps that God can fill has decreased. And over the last century, as we started reading more science fiction, as we started exploring the universe around us, aliens became the new God. It is kind of a more secular version of God filling the gaps, and we today call it aliens of the gaps. And aliens are everywhere. They're in books, in movies, in TV shows, and it's always fun to fantasize about meeting an alien. And unlike gods, I personally think that life does exist elsewhere in the universe, that we can't be alone. But I also think that we can't just jump to conclusions and say that something that we can't explain is aliens. From a pyramid to an icy rock going through our solar system that is obviously not from our solar system. And that was a time lapse of 3i Atlas on December 13th, and I got this resulting image with proper processing. This was near perigee. Today is December 19th, and today Comet 3i Atlas is at perigee, or at its closest point to Earth. And although that sounds like a big deal, it's not really that close. Before this point, some people theorized that there is a 40% chance that this is an alien spacecraft based on anomalies that they have observed or studied about the comet. And this is based on the Loeb scale. Avi Loeb did name the scale after himself, where he gave this a 4. I will link to his paper on the Loeb scale below, but please read it with a giant bucket of salt. Avi Loeb is a very smart person. He works at Harvard, and Harvard very rarely hires idiots. He also has a resume that shows that he knows stuff. But it also makes me wonder whether or not he knows that he's spreading misinformation, or whether he truly believes it all. Or maybe he knows how the media works and how to get attention. And he tends to jump to conclusions with almost anything that's a little bit unexplainable, from Oumuamua to tiny pellets found in the Pacific Ocean, which are probably industrial pollution, because why wouldn't a corporation dump their pollution into the ocean? So I guess he's right. They were of intelligent origin, just the dumb people on Earth. But in any case, speculation tends to spread way faster than evidence, especially in today's age, where everyone has access to the internet and anyone can go on the internet and start spreading information, and it can go viral. And Avi Loeb is a master at generating noise. He throws out theories faster than any other scientist can analyze and rebut or even study what he's talking about. For example, one of his first claims was that Comet 3i Atlas was really huge and that it had no coma, and comets needed to have a coma. And when it got close enough to the sun and we were able to observe the coma, and that it was not a giant object and that we were actually observing the coma the whole time, do you know what he said? He said that the coma is an early warning system for collision. Okay. Goalpost meet next goalpost. Another claim you may have seen online is about its tails. It has both a regular tail and an anti-tail. And the claim was that the anti-tail is unusual, when we know for a fact that it's not. Many comets have anti-tails, such as the comet Tsuchinshan Atlas from last year. It had a very prominent anti-tail, and a lot of the other comets we've been observing have anti-tails. Most tails face away from the sun because the solar wind pushes all those small particles away from it. But there are sometimes particles that are big enough they shoot off the surface of the comet are just too big for the solar wind to affect, so they go in the opposite direction. They go toward the sun, especially if there's outgassing that's strong enough, that has built enough pressure to push all those particles out in that particular direction. And the reason it's facing the sun is because that part of the comet is being heated much more than the other parts of the comet. And as far as we know, this could be the first time in billions of years that this comet has come this close to a star. So it has never been this heated, so all of the gases, all of the ices were just frozen in time for billions of years in this icy rock, and now it's gotten heated enough that it could release all the pressure that has built up. Another claim you may have seen is that this comet may have been responsible for the infamous WOW signal. For those of you who don't know, the WOW signal was detected on August 15th, 1977 by a giant radio telescope from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius. And the word WOW was written next to the signal to indicate its unusual nature. The signal never repeated itself, and the leading theory is that it was probably a burst from a magnetar in that direction, or it could have been even closer, just noise from here on Earth. And guess what region of the sky Comet 3i Atlas is coming from? If you guessed Sagittarius, you would be correct. And what are the odds of that happening? According to Loeb, is 0.6%. Now, where did he get that number? Who knows? Because in that same paragraph, he acknowledges that the comet and the WOW signal are about 9 degrees apart in the sky. That doesn't sound like a lot, but if you think about it, the width of the full moon is only half a degree. So 9 degrees is 18 full moon widths. So although they came from the same constellation, Sagittarius is huge, and these came from 2 different parts of the sky. And when you take 9 degrees in space and you go in one direction and 9 degrees in another direction, you just keep getting farther and farther apart. There are many more claims, but the last one that I'll talk about is the non-gravitational acceleration of this comet, which suggests that it may have thrusters that made it go faster than it would naturally otherwise. And yes, non-gravitational acceleration of comets can be unusual, but it's not unheard of. The most logical explanation for this is once again outgassing. As I mentioned earlier, this could have been the first time that this comet has come this close to any star in billions of years. So all that gas has built up. And as it got heated by the sun, as it got closer to the sun, the gas has released at high speeds. And according to Newton's third law of motion, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So as the gas gets pushed out of the comet, it pushes the comet a little bit more, accelerating it at a tiny bit, which, yeah, looks like non-gravitational acceleration is because it's getting pushed by the gas that it carries. Avi Loeb also went on Mayim Bialik's podcast, I think, in September and said that if you need to take a vacation, take it before October 29th.
It turns out to be technological after October 29th. If you want to take a vacation, take it before that date, because who knows what will happen.
And October 29th was perihelion, or the comet's closest point to the sun, because our lives are about to change. Well, it's December 19th, and my life hasn't changed.
My life has changed. I sold 1 million more books.
The goalpost then moved to Earth. Now it says the next date to look out for is December 19th. Welcome to today. And the comet is going past the Earth and is continuing on to the next planet, Jupiter. So, of course, the goalpost now moves from the sun to the Earth, and now at Jupiter. And of course, the next claim is that, of course, it's not a coincidence that the comet is going to Jupiter, because Jupiter is the biggest planet in our solar system. So, of course, an alien civilization is going to try and make contact with the largest planet, while ignoring all the radio signals coming from this blue planet. But what happens when Comet 3i Atlas goes right past Jupiter? Is the next goalpost at Saturn, or maybe Neptune, or maybe it's catching up to the Voyager spacecraft and trying to make sure that it doesn't get too far from the solar system, because the aliens are trying to make sure we stay within our own backyard. But the one thing I'm sure of is that we can expect some more noise coming out for Comet 3i Atlas until one day it just stops, because it's just gotten too far out and the goalposts are no longer visible. It happened with Oumuamua, and the only reason it didn't happen with 2I Borisov, the second interstellar object that we've seen in our solar system, is because we didn't spot Borisov until it was already on its way out of the solar system. So there was no time to generate noise there. And I'll say this, if Comet 3i Atlas is proven to be alien technology, if aliens do land on Earth, I will be the first in line to vote for Avi Loeb to represent the human race. And if that doesn't happen, I think Avi Loeb should consider a career in Hollywood because he really knows how to grab people's attention. He knows science fiction. I don't think that we are alone in the universe, but I also think that space is huge. And it's very unlikely that humans will ever make contact with another civilization. It's sad to think about, but I think it's reality, and I really hope I'm proven wrong while I'm still alive. I'll also mention Professor Jason Wright of PSU, who teaches astronomy and astrophysics at Penn State, who has a great blog where he discusses some of Loeb's claims in better detail, and Hector Socas Navarro, a scientist out of Spain, who also debunked a lot of Loeb's claims as they came out. But like I said, Avi Loeb knows how to generate noise. He knows how to throw out theories faster than anyone can really look at them. So even they have had a hard time trying to keep up with everything that Loeb has said. And he goes on TV, he has interviews at newspapers, blogs, and on vlogs and podcasts, and it's kind of crazy that he knows how media works, and maybe I need him to teach me how to make my stuff go a little viral. As our technology improves and we start to detect more stuff in space, I think we'll start seeing more interstellar objects going through our solar system. We just haven't been able to detect them because we don't have the technology. But I think that as we detect more, we can expect more noise coming out about those objects, that they will be aliens. And I would just ask everyone to keep an open mind that it doesn't always have to be an alien filling the gaps. Look at a person's track record and take everything they say with a grain of salt. Please feel free to share your thoughts below. Clear skies. Huge thanks to all of my patrons on Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee supporters, and YouTube members for supporting me and my work. If you'd like to join them, check the links in the description below.